Yeah, man. Just trying to reason in the sunshine. But listen, hey, sitting outside, staying out of the spring sun, talking to my people, yeah, my thoughts had just begun. Meditation flowing, words rolling off my tongue. Then along comes a rumble, hear that engine drum. Hey! Lawnmower man riding tall on his throne, cutting down the silence like it never was my own. I'm the monster riding, mower be so loud, trying to talk wisdom but I'm lost in the cloud. Making a racket, disturbing my flow. The people can't hear it but they're stealing the show. Inside my head it's a thunder parade. Every thought I had just start to fade. Along came the lawn mower man, rolling through my piece like he just don't understand. Whipping round the yard on the mechanical beast, tearing up my calm, never giving me relief. So no, can't concentrate, can't share what I plan. Every time I try, along comes the lawn mower man. Yeah, as if one loud mower wasn't already too much, another one pull up with the same heavy touch. I turn around stunned, say, what is this scene? Two iron giants cutting grass so clean, side by side like a synchronized show. Engines revving high in the turf war flow. Same patch of green, same moment in time. Meanwhile, all my thoughts can't find a rhyme. Double the noise, double the pain that goes in my brain like a runaway train. Trying to stay cool, but I'm losing command. Overrun again by the mower man. Along came the lawn mower man. Now we brought a friend, now I really can't stand. Two of them circling like a storm on the land, chopping up the vibe I was holding in my hand. Oh no, can't concentrate, can't say what I plan. Every time I try, along comes the lawn mower man. Then from the creek, hear a buzzing attack. Turn my head slow, ain't no turning back. First one, then two, then the third in the rear. Weed whackers humming like a swarm drawing near. Whipping through the grass, trimming every last blade, frightening the birds and the squirrels to evade. Peace and solitude just fade away fast, like a quiet little dream that just couldn't last. Lord, I just wanted a moment, just a little silence, but the machines keep singing louder than I can. Along came the lawn mower man, then another, now it's out of hand. Engines and whackers in a full-on band, playing chaos rhythms I ain't never planned. Oh no, there goes my peaceful stand. Yeah, so much for my calm. Along came the lawn mower man. Next time I'm thinking I might stay inside, 'cause when the grass starts growing, you know they're right. Yeah.
Pack your bags and hold on tight. A brighter day is in your sight. No more shadows, no more fear. Freedom's calling loud and clear. Leave the pain, leave the night. Step into the shining light. Freedom bird is flying high. South Africans reaching for the sky. No more tears, no more plea. Land of the brave, home of the free. Not just farmers, not just one. It's for everyone under the sun. From the mountains to the
Marvin Devine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Hello, folks. Welcome back to the program. It is Saturday, May 2nd, 2026. Normally, I'm doing rugby on this date, but unfortunately, the South African sides bombed out of the EPCR Champions Cup, and nobody in the Challenge Cup either. So there's no South Africans performing. So we're not covering rugby this weekend, but we are doing the news. Program announcement, apologies. The interview this morning with Roxy fell apart. Her employer, let me see if I got the latest from her. Her employer asked her late yesterday if she could work this weekend, so she's not available. And Lily is supposed to be on later, but Lily's birthday, her husband treated her to a spa day. A spa day. I didn't know it was a spa day, nor did Lily when we scheduled this. So we were told that she would be free by noon, her time, 1 o'clock my time. Well, newsflash for husbands that aren't familiar with spa days, a spa day is a day, not 3 hours. So unfortunately, Lily is wrapped up. She offered to do the broadcast sitting in her robe in the beauty salon. And I said, no, we're not going to do that to you. So we're doing it tomorrow when she has a braai from the park. So not optimal either, but better than nothing. So Lily will be on tomorrow. Also, I still have not heard back from Professor G yet. Let me see if I've got a message from him about our Tuesday broadcast. Okay, cool. All right, I have heard back from Professor G. We're good. Okay, that's going to be 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday, Professor G on the program. Still need a photo. I still need a photo. All right, so I've just sent him a note. He didn't send me a photo yet. So, yeah, Professor G Tuesday. Also, Byram Shepard from Morning Shot will be back for our Bri Brews program on Tuesday. So we got a double header on Tuesday, plus the news. A busy day once again. So, yeah, those are the programming announcements. We do have Kathy Price coming up this afternoon at 2 p.m., but unfortunately for me, as things fell apart, my day was already scheduled. I've kind of wasted most of the day so far because I had interviews that now will be pushed and I could have done some other things, but that's unfortunate for me. Not your problem. That's my issue. Anyway, welcome back, folks. Let's see who's in the chat. Since it's a Saturday, we'll break the norm here. Sumentria, welcome to you. Utopi, James Duval, D. Thorne, Sloth Puppy, Knight of Justice, D. Barham, another OG right there. Tinky Keyser, welcome to you. Trippy, EB, Two Babyface, Fonz is in from Colorado, Andres Muller, Elmarie Mayer, who else we got here? Vodka Models here. The little one up already. Paul Stapleberg. Yes, I have that headline, Paul. Thank you for the heads up on it, but I do have it, and I'll be covering that story shortly. Cecilia Kruger, Garrett Gillich, Veroshka, Big Fish, Joe, James. Who else we got there? Elmarie, welcome to you. She's saying it's cold in Limpopo. Johan Barnard, welcome to you as well. Renee Tolley, hello. Who's the ex-ANC guy? Well, Lawrence McDonald's the ex-ANC guy. And not an ex-ANC guy from the 1990s liberation struggle, but an ex-ANC guy from 2 years ago who refused to vacate his quarters. I offer an opportunity for him to give me a refugee interview if he'd like to do that, if you're watching there, Mr. McDonald, because I think some folks think you got some splaining to do. No guest is ever embarrassed on my program, so don't worry about that. I will treat you fairly, but I think you got some splaining to do. CB's here, another OG. Who else we got there? Sharon Harhoff, welcome to you. And then Vanessa Blossom, Trevor Charles, Carl Erasmus is back. Enslin Funnykiak, okay. Enslin Funnykiak, sorry, ran together. Chris Ayler's back. Chris, good to see you again. I hope you sent me the information I asked for. I haven't been able to check my messages so far this morning. 1440, Sunflower 86, Vernon, Work People, Daddy Sarcastic, Georgia Samuels, Chris Ehlers, Luva Eve. What else we got here? Werner Boykes. They want to take your crypto, your land, your take SARS against you. Yeah, the A is history, Werner. I don't disagree with that. Joe Siebernhagen. By the way, for those of you, we're not talking refugees, but for those of you who have not heard anything and you put all these things in, I don't know what to say. The intake questionnaire should have caught everything. That's kind of bothering me. Rokulus, welcome to you. Bear Brilliance. Maris, Grok Matrix, Vodka Model, Yassine, Cecilia Kruger, Hank, Adrian say, hello, hello, hello. Okay, Lynn Harris, Allison Johnson, and Abraham van der Westhuizen, and I think we've caught Lucy Seeley, just caught, and Allison B. Johnson. Hi, Nurse, I missed you. And I doubt he will do an interview. ANC coward. Okay, well, we'll see. All right, let's get to the news, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome on this Saturday. And yes, I am getting steamed crabs. I've ordered them for later this afternoon. Also, today is a day of service for the veterans of foreign wars. So this evening, I will take a trash bag and go collect trash on the main street of the local village, and then drop it in the bin. JF Fun in the Sun. Okay, thank you. Cool beans. All right. So let's get to the news, folks, as I've got work to do later today, cleaning up other people's rubbish to make the city, the town, pretty. Police raid Mitchell's Plains, home of Fadiel Adams, or at least they're looking for Fadiel Adams. Wow, the Cape Color Congress, now the National Color Congress, whatever they're calling themselves. 15 armed police officers allegedly raided a home in Westridge searching for MP Fadiel Adams today. Adams claimed the occupants were threatened at gunpoint and a 12-year-old boy was allegedly assaulted during the early morning raid. He further claimed the raid was an act of intimidation, that he would open a case with the police. Well, dude, if they're trying to arrest you, you can open all the cases you want. I've met Fadiel Adams, but I've never interviewed him. We never really got that far. A group of armed police officers allegedly stormed a home in Mitchell's Plains early hours this morning looking for MP Fadiel Adams. In a statement issued by the National Color Congress on Saturday, the party claimed the police officers entered the home at 4 a.m. Adams told News 24 the property, which he sold 2 months ago, was raided by officers he believed may be linked to the political killings task team, although he noted it remained unclear whether they were officially part of the unit. He alleged that they operate like the PKTT because they were dressed in police uniforms that could not be identified by name tags and were using balaclavas. They claimed they forced entry by cutting locks and pointing rifles at a woman inside the house while searching for him. This is a form of intimidation. I've sent email to General Masamola 3 weeks ago telling him that I believe the task team is going to pull a stunt like this. He further alleged the officers had parked their vehicles some distance away, which he believed was done to avoid identification. He said, I confirm I'm willing to comply. Tell me where to surrender myself. Don't send armed people into my house to traumatize my children. I've indicated to these people that I'm a law-abiding citizen. I'm here to tell them I'm not afraid. I'm not running. If they want my address, I'm happy to give it to them. Well, what's going on with Fadiel Adams? Why are they looking for Fadiel Adams? That's an unusual situation. Doesn't make any sense to me. Sorry, my right eye is bothering me. I keep getting, even the glasses aren't working. Something strange going on here. Actually, without the glasses, I can see better with this right eye. Is the lens dirty? The lens is a little bit dirty, but that's not explaining why. I'm still getting used to wearing glasses, reading glasses. It's not something I've done. I've never worn glasses my whole life, and suddenly, let's see if that's any better. Yeah, that's a little bit better. I guess it was just dirty. I thought it was my eye. Well, thank you. Did you see the haircut? There's the haircut. Kind of messed it up with the hat. But yeah. All right. So, Fadiel Adams. All right, ladies and gentlemen, former evicted member of parliament from the African National Congress who refused to leave his government-provided Gucci quarters has now taken the refugee program to the United States. Members of the ANC defecting to America. Wow. This is not a good look for the ANC. Former ANC MP Lawrence McDonald, last year was evicted from Parliamentary Village, is now taken up refugee status in the U.S. And again, Megan Thunderheaver. Megan, I know you're watching this, so let me help you with this. Former ANC MP Lawrence McDonald is taking up refugee settlement in the U.S. The white politician is among 5,000 South Africans, primarily Afrikaner farmers. 25 refugees I saw in Richmond, 2 farmers. Harrisonburg, I don't recall anyone raising their hand that was a farmer of the 25 or 30 people I met there. It's not primarily Afrikaner farmers. In fact, Afrikaner farmers are a distinct small minority of the refugees that come over. I mean, quite frankly, use your common sense here, folks. If 5,000 Afrikaner farmers had abandoned South Africa's farms, the farming sector would have collapsed. There's only 28,000 commercial farmers. If 5,000 white farmers primarily, so let's say primarily, that must be like, 3/4 of them. So 4,000 white farmers leave, the South African farming sector would collapse. I mean, honestly. So anyone with any common sense, instead of just reading the news, would go, wait a second. Primarily Afrikaner farmers. You say there's over 5,000. There's only 28,000 Afrikaner farmers to begin with. And it's not even 28,000. That includes black commercial farmers. So how the hell could the farming sector still be functioning today if that many people left in a few months? You got it? See, fake news. That's fake news. Sorry, Megan, but that's fake news. That's inaccurate. I don't know where you get your information from. It's not primarily farmers. It's very few people are farmers. Very few of them farmers. Unbelievable. The outspoken retired politician left the party in 2024 and now uses his social media platform to blast ANC racial laws. Last year, he made headlines after he was evicted from a subsidized parliamentary home despite no longer being in office. So he was no longer in parliament. They kicked him out and he refused to give up his home. That's when I last heard this guy's name. On his X account, he revealed he'd arrived in the U.S. on May Day. So let's go to his X account. Lawrence McDonald. Today, I touched down in Florida as a refugee on South Africa's Freedom Day of all days. A day meant to celebrate liberation became the day I finally stepped into my own. Leaving the country of my birth was not easy. It was painful, heartbreaking, symbolic. I walked away from a place I loved deeply, but where daily life became a struggle for safety, dignity, and opportunity. As the plane lifted off, I felt the weight of years of frustration, fear, and disappointment. I left behind a system that had stopped serving its people, a government that had forgotten the meaning of freedom, and a reality where hope was becoming harder to hold on to. When then I arrived here in the United States for the first time in a long time, I felt possibility again. I felt welcome. I felt safe. I felt human. The kindness I've received, the respect, the sense of order and opportunity. It's overwhelming in the best way. I'm deeply grateful to the American people for opening doors and giving me the chance to rebuild my life with dignity. Today, on a day that South Africa calls Freedom Day, I found my freedom in America. A new chapter begins. I will honor it with hard work, gratitude, and hope. Well, I appreciate your kind words about America, dude, but you've been in the country for 5 minutes and you wrote this. You've been in the country for 5 minutes and you wrote that. So while I appreciate the sentiment, it's not exactly any track record behind about our hospitality and how we greeted you. But thank you for that. Lawrence McDonald is not a Liberation Era stalwart of the African National Congress who has abandoned, defected the ANC. He is a recent member of the ANC. He served in office from 2019 to 2024, one of the major eras of pilfering in South African government. And he talks about how after years and years and years of frustration, what years are you talking about, dude? What years are you talking about? Lawrence Edward McDonald, South African politician, served as a member of the National Assembly from May 2019 to May 2024. Member of the African National Congress. So what were the years? Were you 60 years old? Were you frustrated by the 5 years you spent in Parliament? Did that frustrate you? I'm a little lost. Mr. McDonald, you are welcome to come on my program, as any other South African refugee arrival in the States has. You will be treated with respect. I won't try to embarrass you, but I think you got some splaining to do. You got some splaining to do, man. All right? Anybody have contact with him, wants to put him in touch with me, I'd be happy to interview him because I'd love to hear what the years of frustration were. Was it the 5 years he served for the ANC, the party that destroyed South Africa? Was he trying to reform it from within and ran into a roadblock? That would be nice to know, because we don't know the answer to that story. Again, Mr. McDonald, you're welcome to come on the program. Anybody has contact with him, please let me know. I don't think he'll come on the program. Yeah, I know, Cecilia. I'd love to do that interview too. He'll probably give it to fake news, CNN or somebody like that. I wouldn't be surprised. South Africa is on edge as anti-illegal alien protests surge and police warn of no mercy for those caught misdeeds. Look at these pretend warriors, the tubelards out there. Pretend warriors get their asses kicked by a real group of small folks. Oh, yeah, future looks bright. No, that would be the plan. I would not interview him on air because I'd have to turn the chat off. I would have to turn the chat off. So it would be an off-air interview. Yeah, absolutely. Like the last one I did with Corney Mulder. That wasn't because we did off-air. It was just because of the timing. It was not a good time to have folks on. So, yeah. Police Ministry spokesman Kamehlo Mokhotsi told IOL that the ministry condemns acts of violence and intimidation directed at foreign nationals. Well, what are you going to do to stop it? March and march until we win. Complain because we're too lazy to work. You've destroyed the country and you want handouts. Hank knows him. Okay. On Wednesday, the controversial anti-migrant movement marched to the Gauteng provincial legislature of alleged crimes. involving undocumented foreign nationals, ignoring the crimes of South Africans who commit them. President Ramaphosa says his government has the means to fix the water crisis. The government has the means to resolve its deepening water crisis, but needs to demonstrate the will to act. Dude, they work for you. Either make them work or fire them. Speaking at the Extended Presidential Coordinating Council meeting at Ekurhuleni, Ramaphosa acknowledged that the water service disruptions have increased despite progress made in expanding access to pipe water over the past 3 decades. I mean, honestly, this is a country where they tried to assassinate the head of ESCOM. I mean, honestly, should we take any of this seriously? They murder whistleblowers left and right. They murder innocent men like Armand Swart, who had nothing to do with any whistleblower. He's just at work. A father, young father, executed, shot 34 times or something like that. Callous indifference to human life. They tried to poison the head of ESCOM, Andre de Ruyter. I mean, what the hell? There's been water available from the Lesotho highlands for decades. The ANC failed to complete the second and third phases of that project, which were initiated under the National Party. And then the ANC took credit for the last year of the project being finished once they took office. What a joke that was. I've been to the Highlands Water Project in the Free State, where the water comes out of the mountain. It's a pretty cool spot. But instead of continuing the project, the ANC stole the money. Stole the money. Stole the money. We all know where the challenges are. It's called the ANC and the GNU. It's ordinary South Africans who bear the cost of these failures. Yes, because of your party. We made great progress in extending access to water, or many communities experience problems with the reliability and quality of these services. He cited figures showing that the proportion of households experiencing water interruptions lasting longer than 2 days has risen in 2012 from 24% to 34% in 2024. That data is already dated. It's much higher than 34% now. Now, this, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry. Unlike Trevor Noah, I'm not intentionally trying to be funny, but I'm going to read a story to you from News 24. Nothing wrong with the story. They're reporting news here, but the story itself is hilarious. I mean, this is comical. Only in Brazil, the movie with Terry Gilliam, could you see such lunacy, or George Orwell's 1984, or Animal Farm. But this is South Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, those who live in South Africa, please don't wet your nappies. Please don't wet your shorts. Please don't wet your trousers right now. Okay? Please don't wet yourself laughing, because you're going to find this hilarious. It's so sad, it's funny. All right, are you ready for this? Are you ready? Here we go. I mean, I'm telling you, this is going to get your attention. You ready for this? It's not Carling Black Label. It's root beer. It's not even a beer. You think it's beer. Iron Brewing Company. It's actually root beer. South African mayors rate themselves 80% for potholes, power cuts, and dry taps. Look, it's the Metro mayors Dada Marrero, Cyril Khaba, and Babalawa Lobishi. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Will I be accused of fat shaming if I point the obvious out here? South Africa's Metro mayors rated their performance with scores ranging from 5 to 8 out of 10, despite ongoing service delivery issues such as potholes, power cuts, and water shortages. They cited progress in governance and infrastructure, but challenges like financial instability, coalition politics remain critical hurdles. Potholes that swallow tires, traffic lights seemingly permanently out of order, power cuts stretching for hours, and taps running dry for weeks. These are the daily realities in many of South Africa's metros. Yet 5 mayors leading these cities are convinced they're doing a stellar job. Nelson Mandela Bay Mayor Babalawa Lobishi confidently told News 24, "My performance should be scored at 80%, a distinction." Not to be outdone, Dada Marrero of Joburg gave himself an 8 out of 10, declaring, "I have stabilized the city." Somebody call Helen Zilla. This is perfect for her videos. Somebody call Helen Zilla. This is just going to be perfect. The DA should make money off this one. Maybe the DA can get some votes back. Just taking this nonsense and walking through Nelson Mandela Bay, Joburg, and other places and making videos about, "I've stabilized the city." The Bloemfontein mayor, Gregory Ntatsi, stated this would be his last term, gave himself a 6. Itaquini's mayor, Cyril Kaba, rated his performance at an average of 5 out of 10. More honest. Okay, that guy's honest. Nelson Mandela Bay, 8 out of 10. Oh, dear God. Oh, I'm sorry, folks. It's time. I can't help myself. It's actually time. You know what's coming, don't you? You know what's coming.
Stupid people should wear signs. Neon bright so we can find a way to dodge their tangled mess. Avoid their chaos more.
Say less. Don't give yourself an 8.
Wear a sign, wear a sign. Save me from your twisted lies.
8 out of 10.
Wear a sign, wear a sign.
Cheers, Babala.
Not another, don't waste your time. Politicians dance and spin.
Exactly, 8 out of 10. That's a spin.
Blatant lies with a practiced grin.
I got 8 out of 10. I stabilized the city.
Blame the moon, blame the stars.
You can't make this up.
Blame the traffic or faulty cars.
I got a distinction.
You think there's 6, not 35. Playing games to stay alive.
Wear a sign, wear a sign.
Save me from your twisted lie. Wear a sign, wear a sign. Nada, don't
Waste your time.
Celebrities with tails so tall. Lost my yacht, it's so small. It's hard being rich, don't you see? You're living in your fantasy.
Oh, dear God. 80%. Who ate the baby? Who ate the baby? Don't eat the baby. Pork. Baby, the other white meat. Oh my goodness. Look at this. Look at these. Gleeful and happy about these caters. They're so dim. They think they got 80%. 80%. And therein lies the problem, folks. They just can't see the problem. They are the problem. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. What happens to the pilots? What pilots? CMD, what are you talking about? Are you talking about Spirit Airlines? We'll get to that. Debbie Fox, thank you for the 350 Rand Super Chat on a Saturday, May 2nd. South Africa. Warning issued to Gauteng residents. Dear goodness gracious, ladies and gentlemen, 2026 under the African National Congress. Now you can't even Gauteng. You can't leave Gauteng. You cannot leave the province because you'll get malaria. Officials are warning Gauteng residents be cautious amid a surge of malaria cases with 414 cases, 11 deaths recorded by the Gauteng department from people who brought it back from other provinces like Limpopo, Mpumalanga, or other countries. What the hell is going on in South Africa? Malaria is often misunderstood. It's not contagious and cannot spread from person to person through casual contact. I know that. That's why I said they brought it back from elsewhere. Oh my goodness. That's not confusing. I'm not a misunderstanding. I know all about malaria and falciparum, the little parasite that goes into the plasmodium. Oh my goodness. South Africa, what's next? Plague? What will South Africa have next? Plague? You've got cholera. You've got malaria. You've got cancers out the wazoo in the Vaal Triangle. What the hell did they do to this country? It's a medical disaster area. Call the UN in. Call the World Health Organization. South Africa is a medical disaster. Malaria. Are you serious? Foot and mouth disease for the cattle herds and the sheep herds and the goat herds. My goodness, cloven-hoofed animals are at risk. Two-legged bipedal Homo sapiens are at risk. My goodness. But we're going to rate ourselves 8 out of 10. We've accomplished so much in South Africa. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to say right here, I declare myself a 12 out of 10. I've achieved all of my goals and then some. I got a 12 out of 10. You know how I know that? Because I rated myself. Quick, run, Forrest, run. Exactly. Run. Fuck Marlies. Run for Namibia. Run for Botswana. Hell, run for Mozambique. Oh my gosh. What the hell? But some good news in South Africa, where the trade deficit is swung the other way. There's a trade surplus. Trade surplus narrows to just $31.9 billion. Yes, because you no longer get a trade surplus with the U.S. because we're not buying stuff anymore. Wow. The year-to-date surplus stands at 75 billion rand. Well, that's down markedly because you're no longer getting the free ride from America. Country earned 187.9 billion from exports in March, while imports were 156 billion. Year on year, export flows were up 9.9% from a year ago. Imports rose 5.2%. They weren't up to the U.S. But good news as exports rise and the surplus continues. South Africa is shooting itself in the foot, according to Business Tech. South Africa's reform drive is losing steam as delays to the rail and port overhauls and private sector participation weigh on momentum. The reform completion gauge rose to 71%, up 27%, but quarterly momentum eased. Oh, come on, this is nonsense. This is another self-grading. They're grading themselves. The rails haven't been fixed. The ports haven't been repaired. Nothing's been done. They're just kidding themselves. Absolutely kidding themselves. You have rabies outbreak. Well, that doesn't surprise me, given what's going on. And while all this is going, hey, Mike, thanks. Red moon, full moon, Bush Lodge. Oh, that'd be cool. Send the photo. That's awesome. Thanks for the 35 rand. Chris Barron says that no master plan for natural gas. Yet the government only offers drafts and hot air. Jaco Uman's warnings that the country is facing a gas cliff have been ignored for 10 years. The CEO of Industrial Gas Users Association of Southern Africa says it's hard to take seriously assurances from Mineral and Petroleum Resource Minister Gwede Mantashe. If they don't give us the aid, we won't give them the minerals. Solo. At the recent Africa Energy Indaba, that the government is moving with urgency. No, they're not. South Africa hasn't moved materially in the upstream development space for the last 15 to 20 years, and it's not likely to change anytime soon, says Uman. The government still doesn't have a consolidated policy position on gas. We don't have a gas master plan. Drafts have been issued for the past 10 years, so we haven't seen anything material. There's Jaco Uman. Sasol, the monopoly supplier of South African natural gas, dropped a bomb in the middle of the industry with its announcement 3 years ago that it would be terminating supplies from its gas fields in Mozambique because of dwindling supplies. This meant that heavy users of industries employ 75,000 people directly, manufacturing, mining, petrochemicals, glass, steel, food, and paper, and contribute $700 billion yearly to the economy, or 8% of GDP, would left without natural gas. They'll be left without natural gas. Once again, the ANC's incompetence and inability to plan long-term comes through and hurts people. Rats, rubble, and rot at police barracks. Yes, look at this. A dead rat lies in the corridor of the police accommodation block. Now, before you see any other photos, I'm going to say the following. I can't blame necessarily the police that are there currently because it may not be them responsible. But people who live like pigs shouldn't be surprised when they have cockroaches and rats and things falling apart. And people who don't respect where they live because someone else owns it and don't maintain it shouldn't be surprised to live in crap holes. Okay? Now, if you move into a crap hole, that's not your fault, but you can clean it up. You can clean it up. Yep, Mark Miger, I'm not surprised your client's running short. It's a case of no clean sweep yet at the building where Nelson Mandela Bay police members live. As rats, heaps of rubbish. Heaps of rubbish. Do they magically appear? No, pigs leave them laying around. Broken taps, maggots, collapsing ceilings, and damaged doors continue to plague the 7-story accommodation block. And the police officers are at their wits' end now considering moving them out of the building. But the problem isn't new. 3 months ago, the Independent Line reported a serious rodent infestation at Mount Road Police Complex, with rats damaging equipment, chewing electrical wiring, and even getting into and understaffed vehicles. So there you go. This is how these pigs live. If these are the cops, they have no respect for themselves, and you're supposed to trust them on the street to protect your safety. Rubbish is strewn across the 5th floor corridor of the building with waste left in open areas and not disposed in bins. These are pigs. South Africa, the National Party, would never have allowed this pig behavior to happen. Swine. Look at this. Filth. A rubbish can on top of a basket there, and no one even wiped. Look at the walls. How do you get that crap on the walls? Look at these pigs. Look at this. Food. They wonder why there's rats there. Because they live like rats. They live like pigs. These are police officers. These are police people who are supposed to protect you. They can't even clean up after themselves. Look at these pigs. Absolute pigs. Disgusting, vile human beings. You can't help these people. You cannot help them. You can't take people like that out of the city or out of the bush or wherever the hell they came from. They're disgusting animals. And they're supposed to protect the people? This is how they live? You could build 50 new buildings for them, and in 3 years they'll look like this because they're pigs with no personal discipline, no self-respect, no love of country, no love of self. They're just animals who behave like this. Now, of course, the haters will steal my content and claim I said something about black South Africans. Didn't say anything about black South Africans. I said police. Well, Willem Petzer ran a video a couple days ago. I don't catch many of his videos, but he ran a video talking about how hijackers or carjackers, they keep calling them hijackers. You don't hijack someone, it's a carjacking. Hijacking is a plane, but anyway, whatever. Carjackers are using dogs strung up on leashes on fence posts to get motorists to stop out of the goodness of their heart to rob them and harm them. He reported this story. I didn't see it anywhere else. I saw it from Willem Petzer. Now, Business Tech is reporting it today, which means that Willem Petzer is the one who got the scoop. He's the one who reported it first to my knowledge. Now, if I'm incorrect, I'll admit that. I'm just saying that's the first place I saw it a couple days ago. But now the media are covering the story. A new disturbing hijacking trend hitting the best-run province in South Africa. Well, we can debate whether it's the best-run province or not. South Africans being warned of a new hijacking trend in Western Cape involving dogs are used to persuade motorists to stop on the side of the road. The Animal Welfare Society of South Africa issued an urgent warning over a disturbing new hijacking tactic reportedly being used on the Cape Flats along R300. Most people take this route to commute between the northern suburbs of Belleville, Brockenfell, and Cools River, and southern suburbs and airports, or to connect to the N2 towards Somerset West, Strand, or Gordons Bay. Criminals are allegedly hanging dogs from concrete palisade walls with wire around their necks. They do this hoping the shocking scenes will prompt motorists to stop and assist them, making them vulnerable to hijacking. The warning follows an incident on the 26th of April when a motorist spotted one dog hanging from a wall near Samora Michelle. Suspecting it could be a trap, alerted the organization instead of stopping. May not be an isolated case. Not at all. Not at all. It's not isolated. Yep, nasty people. Eswatini opens its doors to Taiwan as other African nations shut the overflight permits. After an initial April visit was canceled due to several African nations revoking overflight permits under pressure from Beijing, President Lee Chang-te completed a rescheduled trip to Eswatini, Taiwan's only remaining diplomatic ally in Africa, while the rest of you betrayed Taiwan. But then the U.S. has betrayed Taiwan too, so I shouldn't condemn Africa. I should condemn my own government. The trip was timed to mark the 40th anniversary of King Mswati's reign. Beijing condemned the visit, calling it a stowaway-style escape farce. Well, screw Beijing and its communist pigs. They are not the legitimate government of Beijing. The Kuomintang are the legitimate government of Beijing. And no matter how many communists come and go, that doesn't change. The International Monetary Fund says that Angola's debt will hit its ceiling in the midterm. The recent surge in oil prices improved Angola's access to international markets is projected to provide a temporary offset to Angola's declining oil revenues. Gross financing needs are, however, projected to rise, with public debt reaching the ceiling under the fiscal sustainability law in the medium term, which means no more money. No more money for them. Kenya, flood death toll hits 10 as dam overflow risk raise alarm. At least 10 people have been killed in Kenya after heavy rain triggered flooding and landslides in several regions, police said, as authorities warned rising river levels would threaten communities downstream from major hydropower dam system. 7 of the deaths were reported in eastern Kenya. Police said 2 bridges were damaged in Kwale County on the east coast and Kitui on the coast and Kitui in the east, while landslides were reported in parts of Elgeyo Marakwet County in the Rift Valley. The rain fell within Kenya's normal March to May wet season, but authorities say intense downpours and saturated ground have increased the risk of flooding. Yeah, so it's not an unusual amount of flooding, so it's not climate change. It's just that the rain hit rather intensely in a short period of time rather than spread out over the day. Iqbal Survey, the man who runs the toilet paper of record, that would be the Independent Line, pens an op-ed claiming that the world has changed. It will never be the same again. Okay, sure. Repeating the line from Friedrich Merz, the buffoon who is the Chancellor of Germany. One buffoon after another in Germany. It's ridiculous. Ever since Helmut Kohl left office, Germany has been led by a series of retards, one after the other. Well, let's talk about this. BRICS and Plus series. The world will never be the same, according to Dr. Iqbal Survey. He wasn't alone. Chloe Maluke also contributed to this story. There was a before and an after. Geopolitics rarely offers such clean lines, but the beginning of 2026 has drawn one in ink that will not wash away. The Middle East that existed before Iran mined the Strait of Hormuz is gone. What has replaced it is something older, rawer, and more honest. A world in which control of the arteries of the global energy is openly, unapologetically wielded as power. Iran did not just enter the ranks of the world's great strategic players, it rewrote the terms of membership. Sorry, I had to clear my throat. Iran entered the worlds of great geostrategic players. That's why they want nuclear weapons. That's why they refuse to give their program. They want to enter the world of great geostrategic players. Seriously? Iran, great strategic players. Listen, as soon as the Trump administration quits pussyfooting around with Iran, this all ends. I mean, give me a break. This is ridiculous. I mean, come on. Come on. Give me a break. Seriously? Great geopolitics players. I mean, honestly, are they smoking crack cocaine? Here you go. Here's the reality.
Once we sailed the
Seven seas in the Iranian Navy.
with a swagger in the breeze.
In the Iranian Navy.
We could do as we pleased, hearts full of pride
And bravado
Once we arrogantly threatened every nation on the breeze.
in the Iranian Navy.
Oh, raise up
Your glass and sing it loud and wavy.
for the bold and brave sight of our Iranian
Which exists no more.
Navy. From the Gulf to the foam of the Western Sea, we were masters of the tide and the spray. But the wind has turned and the cannon's gone silent. Who now will answer our plea? Once we ruled the raging foam, now we've no fleet to
Call our own. No more ships.
in the Iranian Navy. We tacked into the wind with our beards so well trimmed in the Iranian Navy. Steel beneath our boots and salt upon our skin in the Iranian Navy. Our friends invited us to Cape Town, proud and free and bold. Sailors on shore.
ANC are our friends.
Stories bought and sold. Naval exercises with our friends from Moscow and Beijing. We already missed the brief fling. Our presence made Arab nations tremble. Our blockade made oil prices treble. All together, the bold, brave, mighty sight of our Iranian Navy. Oh, raise up your glass and sing it loud and wavy for the roar and roll of the Iranian Navy. From the straits to the storm-lashed quay, we were thunder on the sea. But the dice were cast and the wager played, and pride went down with the fleet. Now we sing in taverns dim and cold of stories grand and growing old. Then the Iranian Navy, our supreme leaders played chicken with the dawn. Now all our ships are gone, rusting at the bottom of the sea. With whom shall we plea? In the Iranian Navy, mighty no longer sailing a lost dream. We see our song of lament and anger scream. Twisted hoax, a metal lie, billowing flames of despair. And a mighty Iranian Navy is no more, just smoke upon the air. We want to surrender, we have no future. We can't even get a dinghy in the water. No harbor light, no guiding star, no compass left to steer us far. So raise up your glass and sing it loud and wave for the ghost.
The ghost.
Of the Iranian Navy. Though the fleet lies cold beneath the foam, we'll drink to the days we rule the brine. For once we sailed the seven seas and did as we pleased in the Iranian we sail the seven seas. Ha! Once we sailed the seven seas, Iranian navies.
Continuing on with Iqbal Survey's op-ed regarding the geostrategic importance of Iran, which is important but doesn't have a geostrategic reach, the U.S. has been eliminating it. The consequences have been seismic and immediate. Brent crude trading near 70 a barrel before the first American bombs fell on February 20th, surged past 125 in the war's ninth week. And it dropped back down to 90, and it went back up to 105, went back down to 90, went back to 110, went back down to 95, went back to 125. What's your point, Iqbal? Up and down, up and down, up and down. The old geopolitical order assumed that American carrier groups guaranteed freedom of navigation. No, that's a fairy tale. That's not true. That's not true. We did patrol the global lines of communication, but we never had a major presence in the Red Sea. And so the pirates off the coast of Somalia, we had to have Task Force 150th, which is a multinational operation, deal with that. And the Straits of Malacca remain a den of pirates and thieves, despite the sailing of all navies of the world. So that's just an over-exaggeration. The USS Gerald Ford, now preparing to leave the region after months of deployment, represents something more than a homebound ship. Its departure marks a psychological inflection point. The mightiest naval force in human history arrived, struck hard, and the straits remained mine. The carrier strike group didn't go there to demine. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous conclusion. The message sent to every government on earth is unmistakable. The American security umbrella, stretched across decades of Middle Eastern dominance, has limits. Rod has found them, mapped them, and exploited them for the entire world to see. No. If the cowards in London, Paris, and Berlin would cooperate and do their damn job, then we never would have gotten to the stage. Also, I've criticized the Trump administration's strategy when it came to Iran. I would have captured Karg Island in the very opening hours of the conflict and would be occupying it now. And I would have imposed a blockade as soon as the Iranian Navy was sunk to the bottom of the Arabian Gulf. When the Iranian Navy went to the bottom of the Arabian Gulf, they should have then began the blockade. Also, they should have put up communications jammers up in the Strait of Hormuz on the peninsula on the other side, jamming all these communications that had these drones flying out there. And then they should have put a bombing campaign focused on the Strait of Hormuz. The straits aren't really mined. There's very few mines out there. That's the lie. So Iqbal Survey doesn't know what he's talking about. They went looking for mines and found virtually none. There are some, but the whole thing isn't mined. That's a fairy tale. This guy is just... Germany's chancellor called it humiliation, as if that wuss actually knows what humiliation is. He does, because he's been humiliated his whole life. He was not wrong, though the word belongs to a broader audience than Washington alone. Every nation that built its energy security on the assumption of open sea lanes must now reckon with the fact that those lanes exist at Iran's discretion. No, they don't. No, they don't. Iran will be put in a box. They will be put in a box. Iqbal, thank you, but you do not understand geostrategic analysis. You don't. You're not a strategist. You're not geopolitical. You're just a dude who has a rag pretending to be a newspaper. I'm sorry. That's just a reality. If that hurts your feelings, too bad, buddy, because that's a reality. President Trump has told Congress the Iran war is over. Oh, well, Iqbal Survey just said Iran changed the world. The 1973 War Powers Resolution states President must end hostilities within 60 days unless Congress authorizes further action. So he notified Congress that the war is over. President Trump notified Congress on May 1st that the hostilities with Iran, which began on February 20th, have terminated. The president's letter came on the 60th day mark when he formally notified Congress the U.S. forces entered into combat operation against Iran. The 73 War Powers Act states that 60 days after notifying Congress, he shall terminate any use of U.S. armed forces unless Congress declare war or enact a specific authorization for such use of the armed forces. Wow. There's been no exchange of fire between the United States forces and Iran since April 7th. The hostilities that began on February 28th have terminated. And I predicted 6 weeks. It was 6 weeks. Will I get credit? No, I won't get credit. I'll get credit maybe on business, but not from the haters. From the outset, when it started, the day it started, it said 6 weeks. And that's when it ended. Now, will it restart? There's a good chance of that. Also, there is a bit of a problem here. While Trump has said the war is over, the United States, as far as I know, is maintaining a blockade. A blockade is an act of war. If we're going to declare the conflict over, then legally we have to stop the blockade. Well, Mark Myberg, that's an open question. That is an open question. And I think that Trump has definitely avoided the law this way. Sharon, thank you for your membership. I think he's definitely, and this is what I said on Biz News. I said I think that he will get around the law by either declaring that the post 9/11 authorization of force is still in effect because this is a state-sponsored terrorism, and so he would get away with that, or he'll find another mechanism. And it may just be simply, he says, we finished, the war's over. Oh, look, the war started again. See? Yep, Trump is playing big time 5-degree chess. Debbie Fox, 140 Rand. Thank you, Debbie. Didn't you give 350 earlier? You did. Thank you for the 140 on top of that. Thank you. Hey, Erica. Trump says Iran conflict is terminated as he hits the deadline. His statement came as the United States continues to enforce a naval blockade, which is an act of war, ladies and gentlemen. President Trump claimed in a letter to Congress on Friday that hostilities with Iran have terminated. President's argument echoed what Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said Thursday in testimony before the Senate Armed Services Committee. Most people consider it totally unconstitutional, Trump told reporters. Also, we had a ceasefire. So that gives you additional time. He said declaring the war with Iran terminate doesn't reflect the reality that tens of thousands of service members in the region are still in harm's way. The administration continually threatens to escalate hostilities. Who said this? Oh, this is Chuck Schumer. Oh, shut up, Chuck Schumer. Just go home. Nobody wants you. Sharon Gosling gave a 21 rand super chat. Thank you for that. No, the uranium has not been relinquished. That's why I argue for special forces teams going in and taking it. Japan's Prime Minister Takaichi pledges deeper energy cooperation with Vietnam. 6 agreements with Vietnam, including technology, agriculture, space, during a trip to Hanoi. Interesting. Japan's Prime Minister says the country will boost ties with Vietnam with a focus on energy and critical minerals. She met her Vietnamese counterpart Lee Min-hung on Saturday, today, where they signed 6 agreements. With regard to critical minerals, both sides agreed to strengthen close cooperation, ensure stable supplies, and reinforce supply chains. Japan and Vietnam share concerns about China's territorial claims in the East and South China Seas, and both have sought to hedge against the United States-driven trade disruptions by broadening economic and security ties. The push for deeper cooperation between the two states comes after new investment in Vietnam from Japan, one of its largest foreign investors, fell 75% to $233 million in the first quarter. Wow. So, Japan and Vietnam deepening ties. Heidi, thank you. Sent you an email interview with Lawrence. Okay, I don't know what that means. Don't know what that means. Let me look and see what you mean by that. He's been interviewed, or is this an email to interview him? Oh, okay. I will call him. Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Okay, sure. Okay, yeah, I'll do that. Okay, wow, thank you, Heidi. That was very quick. I'll give him a call. Thank you. Wow. I'll call him as soon as we're done here. Ceasefire thought does not end the clock of rolling. Well, CMD, I don't know what the legal status of that is. Does an armistice end the clock? Technically, we're still at war with North Korea. There's never been a peace treaty with North Korea. The 1950 war that the North Koreans launched under Kim Il-sung is still going on. 76 years later, it hasn't ended. We are in a state of war. There's just an armistice. There was no treaty. So, I mean, what happens with a ceasefire? Does the clock stop? I don't know. I'm not an attorney. I think there's arguments made on both sides. Senators warn of China's expanding role in undersea sabotage. Chinese military has conducted research into cable cutting technology, said Senator Jim Risch. Yep, we know this. And it's about time that China paid a price for its sabotage in the Baltic Sea. Senate Foreign Relations Committee hearing on April 30th issued one of the strongest congressional warnings to date about China's growing role in suspected undersea cable sabotage, with lawmakers and witnesses urging the United States and its allies to adopt more assertive deterrence posture in both the Baltic Sea and the Indo-Pacific. Ranking Member Jean Shaheen underscored that the vulnerabilities seen in the Baltic are not unique to Europe. No, they're also prevalent in Africa and even the Atlantic, although it's more challenging because those cables are very deep and it would be obvious that they're out there, whereas the ones in the Baltic are quite shallow and easy for a ship to drag an anchor, but you can't drag an anchor 8,000 feet below successfully on a ship crossing the Atlantic, but you can do it off the coast of Africa as well. K-pop is back, folks. BTS, their post-military tour, rallies South Korea's global soft power drive. K-pop sensation BTS ignited a wave of interest in South Korean culture that now extends from food to cosmetics. Shiniqua Yarwa had no other option but to spend the night at the South Korean Jimbabang, a 24-hour bathhouse after every hotel near central Seoul sold out in late March. But sleep was secondary for the 32-year-old Filipino who had made her way to Seoul's Gwanghwamun Square at 7 a.m. to secure a spot in the crowd that city officials estimated would grow to hundreds of thousands. All this was for a glimpse of the seven-member K-pop supergroup BTS, who returned to the stage March 21st after almost 4 years away from limelight for their staggered mandatory military service. Though she failed to secure one of the 22,000 free tickets, she was still ecstatic to stand in the sidelines and watch the concert live on a big screen set up for the occasion. We all came just for this, she told Al Jazeera. More than 18.4 million viewers tuned in for the Netflix live stream of the concert. I missed it. I planned to watch it, but I missed it. With an estimated 30 million fans worldwide who refer to themselves as BTS Army. Hey, they stole that from me. Is it Ronaldo's birthday? Happy birthday to Ronaldo Khuz. I can never keep that straight, his birthday. Happy birthday to Ronaldo. United States-Iran war is having an impact on your credit score. It won't affect it, but they're getting more stingy with loans. In fact, anybody with a credit score below 670 might be in trouble. Nobody's credit score dropped because of Iran, but try getting approved for mortgage right now with a 670 score and see what happens, said Alexander Katzman, CEO and founder of Credit Booster. Wow. Types of credit events that bankers talk about publicly are the ones that are theoretical in nature, like JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon warning this week that we haven't had a credit recession in so long, so when we have one, it would be worse than people think. It might be terrible. But here and now, Katzman said the lenders are tightening where it hits consumers internally, even if not publicly. They don't announce it. There's no press release that says we've raised our cutoff score from 660 to 700. It just happens. So if you have a 660 score, you may not be getting a loan. Well, 5-month wait and a 50% fail rate. Getting a driver's license in the United Kingdom, the Anglo-Celtic Caliphate, is very difficult. The average wait for a test in England and Scotland has hit 22 weeks, up from 5 weeks before the scamdemic, leading to frustration attempts to jump the queue. Yep. Grace Reynolds is taking a driving lesson with Dean Batchelor in March in London. It feels like I've got a pass. Otherwise, Christmas will be probably next year, she says. Erica, thank you for the 70 Rand super chat. Grace Reynolds eased the car smoothly away from traffic lights, overtook a stopped double-decker bus, then definitely navigated the street narrowed by vehicles parked on either side. That was her lesson. Just wait 5 to 6 months. Wow. It's just absolutely your only chance to get your license. Wow. The problem began in the scamdemic when lockdowns and social distancing meant more than 1 million tests did not take place. The ensuing backlog, plus the shortage of examiners and a creaking application process prone to abuse, has made simply booking an appointment a modern endurance test. Miss Reynolds only managed to book hers after logging onto the system at 5:30 a.m. last November, 30 minutes before it opened. It's easier to get Glastonbury tickets, I think. Referring to a British music festival, typically sells out within half an hour. Wow. In February 2020, the average wait was 5 weeks. 5 weeks? I can get a driver's license in 5 minutes in Pennsylvania. Are you serious? Are you serious? What kind of Mickey Mouse country is the Anglo-Celtic Caliphate? Ridiculous. Well, the Germans are going full court press to whine about the military drawing down, but they didn't whine when we went from 287,000 troops in 1990 to just 35,000 troops. But now they're making a big propaganda thing because they want to support their failing, corrupt, humiliated prime minister, the Kanzler. Yes, the Kanzler. The significant U.S. military base in Germany, Deutsche Welle, runs a propaganda story, which is actually factual, but the only reason they run this story is because of Friedrich Merz. They're trying to back him. Some 35,000 to 39,000 U.S. soldiers currently stationed in Germany, plus 13,000 Air Force personnel. So that's about 50,000 U.S. troops, and they're going to take 5,000 out. There is Ramstein, the U.S. biggest base in all of Germany, down in the southwest area of Germany. Stuttgart, Wiesbaden, Grafenwöhr, and Hohenfels-Buchel. Most people don't know about Buchel. It's a very super secret place. Why are so many bases in Germany? Because we kept you from being Asian and speaking Russian, you geniuses. How important are they to the economy? Well, there were 10,000 Germans work for the U.S. military. Estimated 70,000 German jobs are indirectly tied to companies that work on U.S. bases. And troops and soldiers and airmen and their families contribute $4 billion a year to the regional economy. So not anything to sneeze at. Mike, happy birthday, Ronaldo. Sorry, the money goes to Chris. Is Ronaldo here? I didn't even see him. Well, here's another propaganda story. This one from the Guardian giving them support. We love our Americans. The German town rocked by Trump's plan to withdraw troops. Well, Landstuhl's not closing, so this is a silly title, Deborah Cole. I appreciate your story, but this is just propaganda. American soldiers have been part of life in Landstuhl since 1945, giving the area a unique U.S.-German identity. Despite Trump's frequent bluster, Nadine Firmont, not a very German name, said the U.S. president's move to pull troops out of Germany had hit her town like a bombshell. I have to tell you, I was honestly shocked. She works at a high school in Landstuhl, the heart of U.S. military community outside the U.S. Even with previous drawdowns, discussions, U.S. redeployments, Trump's angry outburst carried a blunt menace that startled her. Late on Friday, the Pentagon announced it would reduce its troop numbers in Germany by 5,000. So they went to the German-American Fest, the Volksfest. We love our Americans. They enrich our community in every sense and make life more colorful. Not everyone likes things like the noise of the military planes overhead, but it'd be such a pity if the Americans left. Well, we have left. There were 287,000 of us there in 1990. 1990. We're not there now because we left. The foreign-born population, most of it illegal in Europe, hits a record. Spain is the standout. Spain is gone. It's not for the Spaniards. The foreign-born population of the European Union exceeded 64 million, 14% of the population, historic high. Spain alone accounted for roughly a third of the bloc's annual increase. Wow. Over the past 15 years, EU's foreign-born population surged from 40 million to 64 million. Jeez. Germany remains by far the largest host country in absolute numbers. Its foreign-born population rose from around 10 million to 2010 to 18 million in 2025. 18 million people in Germany. It's an invasion. It's an absolute invasion. 21% of Germany is foreign-born. 19% of Spain. 14% of France. 12% of Italy. Wow. Unbelievable. Where are they from? Well, not places that people want them from. Mostly Muslim countries. Afghanistan, Syria, Morocco, and African countries. Yep. Steinbeck offered a parallel German picture. The main non-European countries of origin are Syria, Afghanistan, Turkey, and the inflow has contributed to dramatic decline in educational attainment, with more than 52,000 students leaving German schools each year as functional illiterates. Wow. Attacks on Christian churches are rising while Jewish residents are unable to walk the streets of Berlin because of these immigrants. Wow. Illegal aliens have flooded Europe. 64 million illegals. Well, they're not all illegal, but many of them are illegal. Pete Hegseth pulls the plug on the 5,000 troops that Biden stuck into Germany amid a riff with Friedrich Schultz. Oh, this site is annoying. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth on Friday ordered the withdrawal of 5,000 U.S. troops from Germany days after the German chancellor criticized U.S. strategy in the war in Iran. The decision follows a thorough review of the department's force posture in Europe and is in recognition of theater requirements and conditions on the ground. So basically, an infantry brigade is leaving. There aren't many left. There's only, I think, 2 or 3 left over there. Well, Germany screwed up. They misjudged Trump. They appeared not to believe Trump's threats to pull troops. Once it was announced, Berlin offered a measured response. Yeah, they walked back their nonsense. President Trump fired off a series of social media posts criticizing Germany this past week, including a threat to pull some American troops. That now appears to have been miscalculation, one of several German leaders have made in the course of Trump's war against Iran. Boris Pistorius, the German defense minister, called the move foreseeable in a statement on Saturday. The presence of American troops in Europe especially is in our interest. Yeah. Now they're trying to make nice. Screw Germany. Screw Germany, the land of another caliphate. Another caliphate. Mexican governor indicted by the United States has stepped down. U.S. prosecutors accused Ruben Rocha Moya of protecting the powerful Sinaloa cartel in exchange for bribes and political support, setting off a national scandal. The 76-year-old said in a 2-minute recorded statement late Friday that he was innocent but would take a temporary leave of absence as governor of the Mexican state of Sinaloa to focus on defending himself from the accusations. Well, he's gone. Shame for him. As I said, Trump has announced the withdrawal of 5,000 troops from Germany. So, U.S. military installations in Germany. And that's where they are. Used to be all over the country, but only a handful now. Geilenkirchen stands out as a lone one. And Stuttgart, which is where European Command, Africa Command are located as Special Forces Command, Emery Forces Africa. Which Stuttgart has only a few thousand troops, about 4,000 I think the total number is. Used to have well over 30,000. And we have Bavaria, Garmisch. Yep, not much left. Not much left, folks. The United States economy rebounded to 2% GDP growth after a decline in the first quarter. Consumer spending, exports, and private investment support economic growth for the first 3 months of 2026. In the wintertime, our economy grew. Spirit Airlines is out of business after 34 years and it's ending operations immediately at 3 a.m. this morning. Spirit Airlines ceased operations. Spirit Airlines, an impish upstart that shook the industry with its irreverent ads and deep discount fares, announced Saturday it had gone out of business after 34 years. The ultra-low-cost airline that once operated hundreds of daily flights of its bright yellow planes and employed 17,000 people said it started an orderly wind down of operations. We are proud of the impact of our ultra-low-cost model in the industry over the last 34 years and hope to serve our guests for many years to come. Had hoped. Yep. Spirit has struggled financially since the scam in 2020, weighed down by rising operational costs and growing debt. By the time it filed for Chapter 11 in November 2024, during the Biden regime, Spirit had lost more than $2.5 billion since the start of 2020. The budget carrier sought bankruptcy protection again in August 2025, when it reported having $8 billion in debts and $8.6 billion in assets. So the Biden regime prevented Spirit from merging with JetBlue because the major carriers didn't want the competition. They said it was to protect flyers. Well, with the departure of one of the low-cost airlines, how have they protected flyers? Once again, the criminals in Washington in the Biden regime should be prosecuted for their abuse of power. Spirit Airlines, a pioneer of low-cost fare flights, shuts down. Second bankruptcy in 2 years after it struggled to get its head above water. 17,000 full and part-time employees without work and tens of thousands of customers without flights. They flew 50,000 passengers on Friday. Spirit Flight 1833, the last flight for Spirit, departed Detroit and landed in Dallas after midnight. Danny Nunez was headed home to Orlando for a pre-commencement ceremony for his MBA. He made it past the signs on terminal doors announcing that Spirit had shut down, which let him enter his flight information. Before he realized something was amiss, instead of his boarding pass, he got an error. But there are no agents. He's going to miss the ceremony because he booked on Spirit. Should have been paying attention to news, buddy. This isn't news. It's been happening for ages. How the Trump administration and Spirit Airlines rescue unraveled. Well, the Trump administration offered to pay $500 million, but they wanted 90% of the equity. I didn't think that was going to fly. In a 15-minute phone call, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and Spirit Chief Executive Officer Dave Davis agreed that the budget carrier had run out of alternatives. Yep, the government wanted 90% of the equity. Here it is. With Lutnick spearheading the Trump administration's potential rescue effort, Spirit and the government closed in on a plan for a potential $500 million bailout that would give the U.S. a 90% stake in the company. Trump aired concern about thousands of jobs vanishing, said he'd hoped a buyer would emerge. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, meanwhile, scoped industry out with a possible partner for Spirit. JetBlue, which in 2022 struck a deal to buy them for $3.8 billion, which was blocked by a federal judge, corrupt judge under the corrupt Biden regime. Contacted several times. American Airlines said it wasn't interested. No buyer emerged. So Spirit is gone. They don't want Spirit because they hate Spirit because it upended everything. So here's a little jump back in time to March of 2024. JetBlue and Spirit are ending their $3.8 billion merger plan after a federal judge blocked the deal. The corrupt Biden regime responsible for this. Both companies believed in the deal, but they're unlikely to meet closing conditions required by an agreement. Yep. It was a bold and courageous plan intended to shake up the industry status quo. The ruling from federal court and the Department of Justice continued opposition. The probability of getting green light to move forward with the merger anytime soon is extremely low, so they gave up on it. The Justice Department, under the corrupt Biden regime, who impoverished millions of Americans, pushed them into welfare, invaded our country with tens of millions of criminal alien invaders to divide our country and bifurcate our society, who oppressed Americans by violating the very First Amendment of the Constitution, our speech. Today's decision by JetBlue is yet another victory for the Justice Department's work on behalf of American consumers, said Attorney General Meritless Garland, the dickweed, in a statement. The Justice Department proved in court that a merger between JetBlue and Spirit would have cost tens of millions to travelers to face higher fares and fewer choices. Well, now we have higher fares and fewer choices, courtesy of Meritless Garland, a man who should be on a criminal wanted list. He should be on the FBI's most wanted list for his crimes against America while the Attorney General. And here they are proudly proclaiming it, Justice Department, from March 4th, 2024. JetBlue Airways announced today that it has abandoned its acquisition of Spirit. In January, the U.S. District Court of the District of Massachusetts blocked the transaction because it violated the core principle of antitrust, protect the United States markets and its market participants from anti-competitive harm. In fact, they did exactly the opposite. That court decision ensured that the big airlines would have no competition from this low-cost colossus. Southwest is no longer a low-cost airline. They now join the ranks in the largest airline in the U.S. of the main carriers who charge outrageous fees to fly on their planes. This was one of the few low-cost carriers with like Breeze and JetBlue. And now it's gone because the Biden regime protected the big players like they always do, misusing antitrust law to keep their friends who fund their campaigns from going under. Trump says Medicare will soon cover weight loss drugs. Well, Ozempic, wow. You're going to cover Ozempic and Wegovy for $50 a month. President Trump announced in May that Medicare patients will soon be able to obtain coverage for weight loss drugs for $50 per month. Today, I'm thrilled to announce starting July 1st, we'll provide Medicare patients with coverage for weight loss drugs like Ozempic, Zepbound, Wegovy for $50 a month. So if it's $1,300 now, it will be $50. Wow. So, in other news, Congress has announced that our Medicaid and Medicare tax will now double from 5% to 10% of our income. That's fake news. Oh, my goodness. Biden Justice Department fantasized about prosecuting habit-wearing nuns. Justice Department prosecutors under the Biden regime exchanged texts relishing the chance to prosecute Catholic nuns, particularly nuns who still wear the head habit. One of the prosecutors now running for the U.S. House as a Democrat in Virginia's newly carved 7th Congressional District, which is not newly carved, it's going to be rescinded. Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley, an Iowa Republican, released documents about the anti-Catholic targeting. He released texts exchanged in 2021 between two prosecutors for the U.S. Attorney's Office in the District of Columbia. In the text of February 2021, Assistant U.S. Attorney Molly Gaston wrote to a colleague that she'd spotted nuns near the Oath Keepers in a New York Times photo of the Capitol riot. I would like to take a special assignment of finding and prosecuting them, she wrote to J.P. Cooney, chief of the D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office of Fraud, Public Corruption, and Civil Rights Section. Mr. Cooney said he had also seen the photo and told Ms. Gaston he agreed with her. I'm with you, although I'd like to prosecute any nun who still wears the head habit. She replied, ha ha ha. There was also a Catholic priest in there. He came to perform exorcisms. He's been suspended by his diocese. It's somewhere in the Midwest, I think. He said, I prosecuted the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers and then Donald Trump himself. 1 week after he took office, he fired me. Now I'm running for Congress to defend our democracy and restore the rule of law. There's no rule of law. These are scumbags. These are fanatic scumbags who targeted Catholic nuns because they're bigots and they're leftists. All right, folks, if you're a recent arrival to America, you're probably wondering how you navigate all the complicated things about retirement. Well, there's ways to do it. There are ways to do it, ladies and gentlemen. So, for instance, brokerage account versus an independent or individual retirement account. Which one do you open first? Well, brokerage account, you have to pay taxes. I'll send this link to everybody who wants to read it. I don't know if it's behind a paywall. It might be behind a paywall. So, brokerage accounts and IRAs. The Roth IRA lets you put $7,500 a year if you're under the age of 50. You can put more if you're over 50. It phases out at certain income levels, and your funds grow tax-free in the account, and most of the withdrawals are tax-exempt when you take them out. There is an early withdrawal penalty, but you're not required to take the withdrawals out. So, an IRA, a Roth IRA, and a traditional IRA. So, then you've got 401, but that's from your company. And then questions about a brokerage account. So you can have a brokerage account and you can have an IRA. Absolutely. You can have both. Anyway, I'll make that available right now. I don't know if it's behind a paywall because I'm a subscriber to that channel, so who knows, or to that outlet. So if it's not behind a paywall, you can go check it out. If it is behind a paywall, just let me know, okay? If you want to learn about saving and investing in America. Michael Jackson's biopic gets a poo-poo letter from someone who investigated all his alleged crimes. And she's right. This movie is just fluff meant to raise money for greedy people. This man was $500 million in debt when he died. Credibly accused of molesting children, and they made this movie about him. That Leaving Neverland was pulled from HBO after pressure from the Jackson estate. So she is right. This whole thing is a fluff. It's all fluff. I will not watch it. Maureen Orth, longtime magazine journalist who worked for Vanity Fair, she exposed him in 4 different articles, and she's right to criticize him. Well, when scientists think they're scientists and they mess with nature, they try to use birth control on the bison herd that is on Catalina Island off the coast of California. And they sterilize them, morons. And now the herd is in jeopardy of disappearing. Now, the American bison is not native to California. It's also not native to Santa Catalina Island. There were ancient bison, but they were different species. These bison were not native. They were brought there for a film in 1925, and they escaped and were never even in the film. And they've reproduced until scientists darted them with a contraceptive, and now they can't reproduce. What a bunch of morons. Conservationists tried birth control in California's island's bison, and it went wrong. Small band of bison stands majestically near an American flag in the shade of some trees on Santa Catalina Island. Evidence suggests that Catalina Island Conservancy accidentally sterilized the female bison when it attempted to administer birth control using darts in 2009. Since then, only one calf has been born, and that was to a bison who escaped because her ear tag was missing. The last calf was a male dubbed Uno by the Conservancy, born in 2013. Apparently, the calf's mother dodged a birth control dart because she was missing an ear tag, and another female was hit twice. Since 2015, they've been off birth control, and they've not reproduced because these morons interfered with nature. You could have just had a hunt and culled the herd, but no. You had to mess with nature. What a bunch of retards. So this herd, which has been there since 1925, is now done for. They're not going to survive. On December 24th, 1924, the Catalina Islander reported that Tom White, who connections with the Lasky Film Company of Hollywood, brought 14 bison to the island in separate crates. They were later turned loose in the hillsides west of the isthmus. We want to say that the bison, weighing 1,500 pounds each, would likely be used in film the following spring. But they never had them in the movie. William Wrigley, a famous chewing gum magnate and Chicago Cubs owner who bought the island for $3 million in 1919, allowed the bison herd to stay. In 1934, he brought 12 more bison, mostly females, to strengthen the herd, which grew to 600 by the late 60s. To reduce the size of the herd, some of the animals were legally hunted for meat, while others were sent to the mainland for slaughter and meat processing. Between 2002 and 2004, a few hundred bison were relocated to Native American reservations, including Lakota, Sioux, and in South Dakota. Around that time, range scientists determined the ideal size to be 100 to 150. But since the accidental sterilization, the herd has shrunk to between 80 and 90 aging animals. Today, the Catalina Island Conservancy, which manages the island, anyway, these idiots. Although prehistoric bison are believed to have roamed the state more than 10,000 years ago, with fossils in La Brea tar pits in San Diego County, modern bison are not native to California. Like mule deer, bison are considered an invasive species on the island. So now they want to get rid of them. They wiped out 12,000 feral pigs and 8,000 non-native goats from the island. They're moving out with a plan to eradicate the mule deer population. This is what they do when they mess with nature. They mess with nature. United States flags are ordered to be flown at half-staff this weekend for National Fallen Firefighters Memorial Weekend. 2 to 3 May. So today and tomorrow, flags are at half-staff. Well, black districts in Congress. Artificiality created artificiality in life in the House and Senate. How the Voting Rights Act reshaped black representation in Congress. So here is a chart showing the whatever color that is. I can't make the bronze color and the silver color. The bronze color are black members of the legislature in southern states. And the gray ones are other states. So you can see that when the country started, there were no black legislators, not until after the Civil War in 1870, and we had several of them. And then they disappeared around 1900 because of Jim Crow laws. But northern states in the 1930s began electing black legislators, and you can see that they reached 10 by 1965, and 20, and then 40, and then all the way up to 60 with the artificiality in the 2020s because of the districting that guarantees that blacks are the only ones getting elected, which is not equal protection under the Constitution. Surprise, surprise, surprise. There is the first black person ever elected to Congress, Joseph Rainey of South Carolina. Looks a little more colored than black to me, but anyway. Elected to the U.S. House and first black member preside over the chamber. Yep. And there is Oscar Stanton DePriest, the only African American in Congress when he was there in 1930. He was from Chicago. All right, there you have it, folks. That's the news for today. That is the news for today. Yeah, human beings always playing God. It's just ridiculous, ridiculous, ridiculous. So it's Ronaldo's birthday. Wow, that's pretty cool. I didn't realize it was Ronaldo's birthday. Okay. So Ronaldo has It's My Birthday stream coming up. There you go. I have not seen any news about a fire in Georgia. What's the fire? Just saw Short about the longest fence in Australia to keep the dingoes. That's literally changed the climate on one side. There's no dingoes to keep kangaroos in check. Yep, yeah, exactly. They mess with nature right there. What's their plan B? Well, they probably won't bring bison in. So the British brought back their bison in the southeastern forest, bring the forest. It's working. Okay, Vanessa, interesting. Well, they brought rabbits to Australia. What a mistake that was. Work people, hello? 70s, Anna Bars had seen an advert on how to lose weight for 10 rand. All she got back was a note that said she could eat less. Oh, that's just messed up. That's messed up. Colleen joined late. You're welcome, Colleen. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done already, folks. Okay. Okay. Anna Kruger. So, programming announcement. Roxy wasn't on this morning. I'm still waiting to hear back from her. Apparently, she's working this weekend. And then Lily, we had to schedule for tomorrow. But at 2 o'clock in 1 hour, we will have Kathy Price on for a FG interview. All right? Erica, thank you for the 70 Rand. Thank you, everybody, for the super chats they sent during the stream. If I missed any, Heidi, thank you for that. I'll call him. Sharon Gosling. Debbie, thank you for the 140 Rand for my haircut. Oh, that just locked up. What's up? There we go. Okay. Sharon, thank you for 21. Debbie, 140. Sharon Gosling, membership. And then I think Debbie also gave 350. So thank you for that. I missed any. My apologies. Righto. Okay. So anyway. We're having a hard time getting 126,000 subscribers. We're 74 short. It's just proving to be very difficult road. Oh, what is with this thing? Come on. There we go. There we go. You like the haircut? Thank you, Mobrock. The dire wolf. Yeah, no, but they're going to do that with DNA, are they not? There was a comment for Medicaid for refugees being terminated. I didn't see any comment about that. What are you talking about? Medicaid for refugees being terminated. I don't know about that. Well, thank you, Carl Rasmus. Yeah, I did show those photos last night. Knight of Justice. I have a phone number for him, and I will be contacting him shortly. Okay? All right? And I'll interview him. All right? Janine. I'll make a note. Well, I'll try, Janine. I've got several emails ahead of you to look at. So, Janine. I'll try to look at it. I have 10,000 emails. See if I can find it in the mix. Blue buck and the dodo in South Africa. The dodo wasn't in South Africa. It was in Madagascar. Was it not? Pat Meister, thank you for the news. You're very welcome, Pat. Thank you for the 150 Rand. Yes, the under 20, Hank. That's right. The Box versus Australia. They're a little leery, apparently, of Australia. They're worried about the wallabies. So I'm not sure. All right, folks. Yeah, Mauritius. Did I say Mauritius? Did I say Madagascar? I meant Mauritius. Yep. If I said Madagascar, I meant Mauritius. Small island. Yep, the dodo is from Mauritius. And it was wiped out there. The Dutch found it, and it was pretty nasty tasting, apparently. Pretty oily. All right, I'm going to wrap it up here, and you will be redirected over to Ronaldo's birthday stream if you want to get there, okay? Hey, Eudora. I'm going back to Bible study. Okay. Email from RC. Asked them to follow up. Almost 6 months. They said they would watch it closely, but can't do anything. Can't do anything about what, Helena? Can't do anything about what? They didn't tell you what they can't do anything about? I don't understand. All right, guys. You're welcome for the news. That's it. We'll catch you later with Kathy Price in an hour. Meantime, enjoy the stream with Ronaldo. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. God bless and be well.